Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I'm here with Robbie and Norton. What's up, boys?
How you doing, Mario? You good? Good to be back, huh?
Yeah, should I be saying welcome back to myself?
Yeah, kind of. I should have been the welcome Mario.
Dude, it's feeling weird because we did this for all summer, and I would say I was on probably the most episodes then, and then to go and have COVID and then go on vacation pretty close to each other.
Yeah,
This is all nerve-wracking to me. This is all new.
You've been in and out a little bit, huh, buddy? It's okay. You needed the rest. Now we're in the grind of the season, so buckle up.
Yeah, came back to I obviously paying attention. Vermont does have phone service, in case you guys were wondering.
Contrary to popular
coming back to not some great records, not feeling good. Been a weird year.
It has been. I put a picture up today on Twitter. It was just a gif of like someone smashing a cupcake and smacking it, and it said, "When you draft DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, and Mooney, all thinking you're great going into the season." It's like, who would have thought that's where this season's gonna go?
I did see that. I almost put something like I feel personally attacked or something like that at this point.
I personally attacked myself.
Right?
Hey, I was scared about DJ Moore, but I never thought it could be like this.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. I've said it a couple times. He was in that article I wrote up on kind of trade targets for the early season. But I thought he'd have a tough beginning of the season, but I didn't think it'd be this bad. And it's not him per se. It's just this offense is so, like, Matt Rule is, he sucks. Like, there's nothing else to say. He's terrible at his job. Baker Mayfield can't find an open receiver. And I don't.
Whoa. Laviska had a 67-yard TD. Baker found Laviska.
On a screen.
Found Baker.
On a screen. And if he didn't have that screen, if he didn't do that screen, he would have had like 110 yards passing.
Brutal.
Baker.
Brutal. It's not a Baker bashing segment, but take us away, Mario. I digress.
Robbie, I was watching an episode where I heard you say I digress a couple times in the same episode. I was like, this dude's digressing a lot.
Yeah, I get worked up. I work myself up a little bit. I'm known to do that. Kind of I try to tame myself. That's what you were just telling Norton and I. You said, "Hey, I wanna stand up. I want to get jacked. I want to put a soundproof wall. I want to be Tony. I want to be Tony Guido, huh? Just got my hat on." When I get on something that I'm like passionate about, like Mooney and those players, like I work myself up, and it's like
he's getting going.
We have too many Italians on this damn show.
I was just telling you off air too. It's like I can't get too loud because my dogs will freak out. But like that, when I say I digress, it's kind of like a calming mechanism for me to just like, okay, like you're getting a little carried away. Calm yourself down. Let's regroup a little bit.
Norton was just telling us about his son. Convincing him into coming up there for a couple more minutes. Got him with the come on, please.
He gets me, man. He gets me every time. This guy. Yeah, like I was telling you, he my wife's got the yoga on Tuesday nights, so it's just him and I. And we always have some good times, have some fun, but then trying to get him down for bed, that is a rough time. That is a rough time.
The Bash Bros are back. I love it.
Absolutely.
I'm scared of children for that reason, because I'm gonna be like, all right, let's go hang out, and we'll be up there for an hour or something.
You would
playing
be
N64. Yeah.
You better hope you don't get a girl, dude, because they're gonna walk all over you.
It is, dude. It really is. Like they do, man. They just like he finds every single way to stall that there is. Like he's ready. He's like, I'm trying to get him to bed, and then the next thing I know, he's like, "Daddy, I need some water. I'm thirsty. I need some milk. I need a cookie. I need this." And dude, it's just over and over. No matter what it is, he finds something. He throws something down the stairs. He's got to go get it, and
he's like, "Oh,
some kind of
cramp."
Yep. Oh yeah. He pulls out everything.
I respect the hustle.
Oh, for sure. That's all you can do. You can only respect it.
All right. So speaking of hustle, good segue here. Yep. Let's get into some week 3 stuff. I guess that was a little bit of aggressive segue. Sorry, Norton. I didn't mean to just jump us in there. I know this is a big episode for us. I'm rusty. But we're going to start off a little bit different here, and we're going to kick off with some of the waiver ads for the week. I'll kick off with you, Norton. Who's your favorite guy you're targeting? And I want to put a caveat on it. I know that we get percentages, and I know that you have those percentages and everything, and like absolutely use those. Sometimes the percentages piss me off so much, because like I don't know how many public leagues there are, and I don't know how many inactive leagues. I don't know if it's pulling 6-team leagues. Like I never know what those percentages come from. And maybe you can explain more of that. But in general, I get a lot of the like these waiver wire guys that you want to add. And I'm in 12-team leagues. I always have to scroll down to deeper league ads to get any sort of like valuable insight. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's tough, because obviously so many leagues of so many different sizes, and everything that you mentioned is so true. Like sometimes you're looking at the waiver wire column, for whatever Fantasy Pros, ESPN, and you're like, wow, all these guys are already rostered in my league. So like, it's hard, and like you try to do the best you can with it in terms of giving some options for each thing. Were you looking more? Or are you talking more like overall best waiver, or like by position? Which one do you want? What do you want?
Let's start off with overall best. I mean, we'll get into all of them, and I think they can. We'll get into a lot of them. But let's start off with overall, like your absolute target, if you could find them in any of your leagues, or are finding them in your leagues, whatever.
So the three kind of main guys for me, and it's all 3 running backs that are available. I think Jamal Williams is the one that's owned or rostered in the most. But Jamal Williams, Khalil Herbert, Alexander Madison, all 3 of those guys got the, Dalvin, Swift, and Monty all got hurt. And so it's varying severities. Sounds like Swift is going to be out at least, a couple weeks from what it sounds like. So for me, I don't know about you guys, but Jamal would probably be top. Not only because he seems like he's going to have the bigger role than the other, like bigger guaranteed role than the others right away, but he's also probably the one that has the most standalone value of the 3 too, as well. Even when the starter comes back. So like for me, I would go Jamal, Herbert, Madison, but I think all 3 are kind of priorities, and all 3 are rostered in a lot of leagues. So a lot of people like watching this or seeing it will probably say, wow, these guys aren't available in mine. But I think Jamal Williams was 61% rostered when I last checked. Herbert was about 50%, and Madison 55%. So they're out there in close to half of leagues, according to Yahoo. And they're all based on Yahoo roster percentages. So that would be my order. What about you guys?
I like all 3 of those. I'm 100% with you on the Jamal Williams. If you can get him, must get. J.D. McKissick. I like him. You have him on this list.
Mm-hmm.
You got him in 26% of leagues owned. The more I'm watching the Commanders' offense, it looks like they are really. He's going to be the pass catching back So he will have standalone value even when it's muddled, because it's going to get muddled once Robinson's back. Antonio Gibson is not getting the target share there. I like J.D. McKissic. I also like Zay Jones. I know it's kind of like an ugly pickup, but for PPR purposes, I think he's going to get a bunch of targets, probably around 8 to 10 targets a week. And I think he's a safe play, and I think he's easily gettable in most leagues.
I just want to go back to the J.D. McKissic thing. I am not the biggest or the highest on it because he has to come into a James White role, which he has done. He did it, I want to say it was 2 years ago, where he finished top 20. And like, I just don't see it possible. I actually think that this offense I don't know which way it will be. It's just too messy, man. Like he has to catch a lot of passes.
Receiving wise, he's 4th in targets.
Among running backs, right?
Among running backs, I'm sorry. He is 2nd in catches.
I had only Eckler.
Currently.
Right.
Correct.
You don't foresee that changing if like Brian Robinson takes over the 1st and 2nd down and then they use Antonio Gibson in a pass catching back?
The past 2 weeks, we've seen Washington say we want J.D. McKissic getting the pass work. Antonio Gibson had maybe 2 targets this week.
It was weird because Antonio Gibson came out strong.
Week 1, yes. I don't know. I don't know what it is or why
they roster spot.
Who, McKissic?
Yeah.
No, it's so for me, it's kind of like dependent upon roster build, depth of league kind of thing. Like to me, like McKissic is more valuable in like a 14 team PPR setting, or even a 12 team PPR setting where you're in like a desperate kind of situation.
Those are good points.
And isn't that what we're talking about right now with waiver wire claims and stuff like that?
Yeah, 12 team PPR is probably like the standard, but 14. And I should be honest, you both are right, because right now I'm in a couple 12 teams and my RBs are really hurting me. So it would be something that would be valuable to me to at least bench.
I don't think he's never going to pop off for 25 points, but will he get you a safe 10 points where you could put him in your RB2 flex spot?
Some I don't even have depth. So
that's what I'm saying.
I have Benjamin as my 3rd RB.
And like,
in one.
Sure. For me, I'd prefer to have JD McKissic on my bench if I'm RB needy currently than like an Alexander Madison, because how long's Cook going to be out? We really don't know, right? There's not too much. It was a shoulder.
It's his shoulder. It's a dislocated shoulder, which he's done before.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like he could return this week.
That's what exactly.
I would say like 50-50 is what it's been sounding like. I do want to mention, though, it was already mentioned, Khalil Herbert, which David Montgomery is day to day. Man, that dude went absolutely off. It's hard for me to see that there's not going to be some standalone value, but again, it's the Chicago Bears, so it makes it really difficult to predict that.
And not only that, but we've seen, I mean, granted, it wasn't Herbert. Herbert was a rookie last year, right?
Yeah.
But even last year when Monty went out, Herbert had those games where he would start, he'd look awesome. And then as soon as Monty comes back, he's getting the full workload.
Yeah. New coach.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, that's the thing. There is new coaching. So it's very possible. I mean, dude, if you look at there's some stuff out there where like Herbert's like leading the league in like so many crazy like forced tackle miss metric, like all these kind of different crazy metrics to just say that he's like really, really good. So it's
a weird year for RBs, dude. It seems like a transition year that none of the young guys are getting as much work as they could be.
I was talking about this with a couple of my leagues today, where who is an RB1 that you drafted in the 1st round? Who's worth that capital?
CMC's the only one. He's RB2, I think, on the year.
No, sir.
RB3.
Well, I was gonna ask you guys, like, basically the other thing I was gonna ask you, I mean, was basically we redraft today, and where are you taking? Like, which running backs are you taking? Because to be honest, there's only about 5. There's only like 5 or 6 that are getting 11? Like. He's 11.
Yeah.
Okay. There's only like 5 or 6 like legit like workhorse level guys. And like I would still take those guys in the 1st round.
Let me run this down real quick. So Saquon's number 1, but he was not being drafted as a 1.
Right.
No, 2 and 3.
Nick Chubb is 2. He was not drafted. He was drafted as an RB2. Then you got James Robinson, CEH. Swift was.
CEH is such a bust, dude. I've been seeing it all on Twitter today. So high.
Yeah.
He's been bad. There was a point where Patty Mahomes was telling him where the hole was and he missed it. All right, go ahead.
I think Swift is the main RB1 drafted that is actually producing at that level.
And he was late RB1.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like 16th.
He was at that turn. He did that on 2 weeks because he really didn't do too much this week.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is at 6, but he did all his damage in 1 week.
Yep.
Cordell Patterson was drafted in like the 7th round.
That, baby.
Even JT.
I saw your ownership percentage in Underdog. I was real happy for you.
Yeah. I've got those fingers crossed.
Full year, baby. Full year.
Come on.
It's just all these RB1s aren't producing at all.
No,
dude,
like
it's weird.
So Norton, yeah, Norton, you were just saying like if there's an RB, like who are you going with? But then you even go and look at some of the first round, like JJ's fallen off the last 2 weeks. I'm not expecting that to stay, but
right. And see, that's the thing is like for me, like I feel like the only player that hasn't had a bad game essentially is Cup. Yeah. And like honestly, I bet you a lot of people, if we redraft today, would take him 1 overall.
Monra.
Yeah, I was gonna say Monra, dude. He would go in the second round, I think, if we drafted today. I saw because I was looking at kind of like some best
Kelsey
ball.
and Andrews probably go first. I mean, like
late first,
that.
Yeah.
The tight ends are so bad.
Yeah, and dude, it's. I was looking at Underdog's Resurrection best ball. I haven't done any yet, but I was just looking at like the ADPs to see where people were going, and I think Amon-Ra was wide receiver 7 or 8, somewhere in that range. Yeah, so he was getting steamed up there. But yeah, I think I would still take like even though the running backs like CMC, JT. I mean, JT had the one big game. He's kind of like Aaron Jones, where he had the one big game, and then the other 2 were pretty shitty, but
Eckler's not doing much. Derrick Henry's not doing anything.
Yeah, he had one game.
Devontae had 1 game. Joe Mixon's been subpar.
So like, but the thing is, I would still take any of like CMC, JT, Eckler, Dalvin. I mean, Eckler is a little worrisome, but at the same time, he's such a safe floor with that pass catching. I was talking to a guy about it today. I was like, dude, I think he's like RB 13 or something like that, maybe 11 or something. Right he's right around that, and he has like 80 yards rushing and no touchdowns. I mean, and he's still like top 12. So like,
it's bad right now though.
But there's no consistency, is what I'm saying. Like,
right,
everyone that's in the top 10, besides a handful of guys, it's all on 1 week.
J-Rob,
right?
J-Rob's been consistent. Swift, CEH, and Nick Chubb, and Saquon.
Yeah, and even Saquon had a kind of down. I mean, he had like 11 points last week, I think, or something like that. But the other 2 were awesome. But yeah, I mean, it is such a weird year for running backs. I do just still bank on the volume with like a lot of the guys, like even Fournette. Like he hasn't been that great, but their offense has been in shambles, and like, dude, the stuff for him is just all the usage is insane. So I'm still heavy in on Fournette. And I was going to bring up a point we were talking about McKissick. So I saw a stat where basically like when the Commanders are leading, like that first week, Gibson got a lot of targets, but they were also playing from ahead. And then the last 2 weeks they were playing from behind, and McKissick got like all the route share and target share. So I feel like if they're playing from behind, that's when McKissick is in, and that's when he's getting a lot of the routes and targets. And I think what happens if they're playing from ahead is when Gibson, is there, and then Gibson is there, and then he will automatically, just being on the field, will run more routes and get more targets, but they got to be playing from ahead.
But do you expect that to happen?
Right, not really. That's why
I like him.
Yeah, and that's why I was worried about Gibson heading into the year. Like, obviously, the whole Brian Robinson thing gave Gibson more value.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Gibson heading into the year was like a big fade for me, because McKissick was like going to play on passing downs, and we were going to see Robinson have a featured role too. So like, but yeah, I do like in terms of the McKissick thing, I do actually. I mean, I like him. For me, it's more of like if you need a guy, like if you're in a situation where you don't have great options,
a playable running back.
Right. He's there. Yeah. And obviously like those other guys like Jamal Williams, Herbert, Madison, I'd rather have them this week, but
JD full season.
Right. And it depends. Like if I'm just stashing on a bench, I'd rather have the other guys too.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wanted to talk about let's talk about two other guys on waivers that I really like that should be in. And both of them are actually like one of those ones. Do you waste a waiver spot on these guys? So the first one I want to talk about is Greg Dortch. He is, he's been great. I mean, like I want to say he's wide receiver 19 right now. He has been consistently double digits fantasy points. Does all his value go down the drain come week 6, or is it week 7? I think it's week 7 technically. Does all of it go down the drain once DeAndre's back? Because obviously Hollywood's been good. And we also don't have Rondale Moore. But I don't know if Rondale is necessarily the guy that I'm worried about compared to DeAndre.
That's a good question, Mario. It's a good question.
I mean, he's usable right now, right? Like we know he's usable for the next 3 weeks. Is there more value past that? And I think that's why he's still not rostered as much. Like, what was the percentage on here, Norton? 17. Like, I think it's because people are like, is this a long-term play? No, I'm not going to put him on my bench.
It's going to be interesting to see how this offense pans out when you have Marquise Brown and Hopkins on the field. Like, who is there going to be that third receiver that can get a bump? All I'll say is he's definitely making an impact, and he is giving himself a shot to be fantasy relevant when that happens. Like, that's all you can kind of ask for with these low end receivers. That it's a dart throw. Am I going to start him when Hopkins is back? Probably not. I'll see what happens. I'm fine with rostering him and seeing what happens the first couple of weeks with Hopkins in, because he could still be relevant.
It's definitely like I plugged and played. I picked him up off of a dynasty waiver wire, and I don't know what he'll be for my dynasty team, but I knew I needed him that week, and I won. The other guy I want to talk about, and I'll turn to you, Norton, is Tyler Conklin. Dude is right now, I want to say tight end 3, tight end 4, and is getting loaded with targets. Yeah. This is another one though. Do we think this sustains? Like, there's no Joe Flacco. We're going to assume that Zach Wilson doesn't throw. I don't know if Joe plays this week or not, but it's this week or next week, I assume. Is Zach Wilson going to throw 50 times? But like, he's right now tight end so slim, kind of like the running back position. Conklin's been great.
Yeah, that's man. He's such a tough one for me.
Whole offenses.
Yeah, seriously. I kind of feel more like I'm not big on grabbing him than anything. I just don't think they're going to throw 50 some times a game, basically, and he's kind of benefiting from that. I mean, obviously the whole offense is benefiting from that, but you know, we've seen obviously Garrett Wilson draws targets at a crazy rate, and Elijah Moore is a great talented receiver too. And so I don't see, like, once they start going down, like, it's not going to. I don't see Conklin, being what he is right now.
Yeah. It's weird. You would assume, right? You put your backup quarterback in, they're going to throw less than what your starting quarterback would throw.
No, not Smoking. This is Smoking Joe's father. This is Smoking Joe's senior.
I get it, but it's like, I don't know, man. I think this is they said Zach Wilson's going to play this week. I thought I saw that.
It shows Joe Flacco projected at 0, but I am behind on who's starting between the
two. I think they announced it even before last game that Zach Wilson should be back this week. So this is a huge, for me, like, this is the game that I'm going to definitely watch a couple times this week just to see how this offense, like, who's going to dictate the throws from Wilson, and is Wilson going to throw the ball a lot? Is Wilson going to run it more than, obviously he's going to run more than Flacco does, but are there going to be designed runs taking away from the receivers? Are there going to be RPOs that might help Breece Hall out? It's going to be a weird week for the Jets.
I think it's going to be,
because this offense could be, the offense could be completely flipped on its head.
Yeah,
when Wilson comes in,
it could.
And then,
it could.
Like Elijah Moore might be a huge part of this offense when Wilson comes in. Like we just don't know.
He wasn't before.
He had good games last year.
Not with Wilson.
It's true. I don't know, man.
It's discouraging that he's not going off with Smoking Joe Sr.
I don't know. I don't know what to take away from the whole Jets team is like, I probably won't play any of them the first week that Wilson's plays.
I can understand it. It's a lot of uncertainty. I've seen some people saying that they think it's going to affect because dude, I don't know if you saw how many targets and receptions both Breece and Carter have been getting. It's been kind of crazy. I mean,
they have.
I like top 10,
right?
RB targets.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I saw some people saying that they think it affects them more than the receivers because like we've talked about with the young, I've hammered it about the Najee thing where the young QBs versus the veteran QBs, checking down is kind of more of a veteran thing of a guy going through his reads and checking down and or being pressured, not wanting to take a hit. Whereas a young guy is going to try to force things, going to sling it, make more mistakes, and they're also going to take off running more. So I could see definitely the running backs, and we saw that too. I mean, Carter had that monster game with Mike White, and then Wilson comes back and he just doesn't throw it to him. So I think that we could definitely see that hurt the running backs more. But I do agree. I mean, I'm just scared to see what happens, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we all are. I'm in on Romeo Doubs. I think he's a great pickup. Sorry for anybody that's listening right now. Question just came: is Romeo Doubs a good pickup? We didn't really mention him because I assumed. Well, it was my fault. Norton had him on our list. I was like, hey, all these guys might not be available. Doubs is a good pickup in my mind. Do you both agree?
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, to me, he looks kind of he has the chance to take the lead role as the wide receiver one for the Packers, and that's valuable.
It's just building the connection with A-Rod. You need to get that trust from A-Rod. Seems like he has some of it, so I'm fine with him. I think he'll be part of this offense for sure. They need to throw it to somebody.
I was wondering where that was going with it. I was thinking about it for a second, and then it clicked.
All right, let's get into one of the first games we're going to talk about. We're going to kind of fly through these. The Jags versus Chargers. Jags whoop that ass.
Yes, they did.
Norton, what are we thinking about the Jags? What are your takeaways with them through 3 weeks this week? However you want to approach that.
So yeah, I mean they look a lot more legit than last year. Lawrence looks good. He's supporting multiple receivers. We see Christian Kirk being an every week play at this point. He's looked good. As Rob mentioned, Zay. So Zay. Yeah.
God, dude. So there's two dudes in the NFL that, and one of them, but I'm going to mention it here tonight, Norton. Zay Jones and Tyler Higbee. And this is just I guess more so Higbee is just a personal hate, but yeah. Zay Jones, I'm still feel this way. I don't think he's that great. The dude had before this season had 1,800 career receiving yards in 6 years. And I mean, I still feel sick, but I have a waiver claim in for him, and that hurts.
All you can say is they paid him.
I hate that. Kenny Galladay got paid.
Yes. Well, that's also Zay Jones looks like he actually gives a shit about being on the field. Kenny Galladay clearly like, let me get
that's
my
because
money.
they didn't get enough yet. Yeah,
I was gonna say, he doesn't feel like it, dude. It's weird with Zay. So Zay was someone like I actually have a lot of underdog exposure to him too because it was just the fact of like super cheap, like and like an ambiguous wide receiver room. I mean, we assume Christian Kirk was gonna be the top, and he looks like he is.
Great.
Yeah, it looks like he is. But like at the same time, like Christian Kirk, as much as like anyone may have liked him, he was nothing like established elite alpha or any kind of thing like that. We just had a lot of guys all of a sudden thrown into a mix, and we like there was like general consensus of what you thought it would be, but at the same time, just acknowledging the fact that we might not know what it was going to be, and like so. That those kind of situations, I always try to take advantage of in drafts where you just take the cheap guys, and Zay's paid off so far. I mean, I do think like he's I mean he like you said though, Mario, he's been really like not much in his career. He's had flashes. I think he had a little bit of a stretch with the Bills, if I remember correctly, and then
but that's like my issue, right? Like he came from
a good
team. Yeah.
Right. He had the Bills, and then he had a flash last year, I think, with the Raiders, right? For like a little bit. And then, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if he like keeps it up per se, because I do like Evan Ingram still. Like I think Evan Ingram's like shown he hasn't produced well, but like he could have had that touchdown this week. It was pretty close, and then like his numbers would look a lot different. And he's shown pretty good usage. They've actually designed plays to get him the ball in his hands a lot, and the offense is going to be viable. Like I really think he could finish top 12, especially considering the landscape. So.
Yeah, I think that like their defense played well in this game, but I don't think they have a top 5 defense. Like they're going to be throwing a lot. I do want to ask you a news or noise question about J-Rob before we move over to the other side of the ball with Chargers for you, Robbie. Question about J-Rob is Rusty Griswold 99 on Reddit posted this stat. Per the late round pod, among all running backs with 20 plus carries, James Robinson has gained 2 or fewer yards on 62.7%. That's 32 of his 51 carries. This ranks dead last by over 8 percentage points. Does that make you a little nervous, or is it absolutely nothing because that's just how he runs? He has these big chunk plays that get him to where he needs to go.
Dude, it's so wild to me too, because like that's like a stat like you'd see about Saquon, like where we always talked about where Saquon would get these a bunch of negative plays and just rip off a huge play. But like James Robinson was
never that last week too, like 2 of them.
Right.
Week 3 this week.
Yeah, and like James Robinson though, like to me, he's never been known as that kind of guy. Like he's always been that like solid volume guy that's going to get you the yards. He wasn't like a explosive breakaway kind of guy. And then like, dude, he looks insane. Like I've been shocked at how good he looks. I think we were all talking about it a little bit earlier, and we were talking about, does it make you like the Shepard thing going down? Does it make you nervous for J-Rob? And considering the timelines are similar, and like, it doesn't make me nervous because he went down, but it does make me nervous. I think I was saying this. It does make me nervous in the sense that if you're that like short length removed from a major injury, you're always at higher risk. And yeah, he hasn't. Like people can say, well, he hasn't gone down yet, but like the thing is like neither did Shepard until last night. So like, and Shepard played fine and looked good for the first 2 weeks, and then just on a random play just pulls up. And it's done. And it's like, those are the kind of things like with guys coming off of like major injuries that it could just be literal any play. And like, there's so much, stats and stuff that show, and there's so much research that shows like inside 9 months is dangerous. Like, so like, just because he hasn't, doesn't make me any less nervous. Just because Shepard went down doesn't make me any more nervous, because everyone's different. It does. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, because you see it. I mean, I get it.
I'm very biased about this, right? Like this whole torn Achilles thing, especially like that, it scares the shit out of me. I feel awful for Shepard. It was one of the saddest things I've seen in football since Tariq Cohen. I didn't want to share the video on Twitter. It sucked. Mm-hmm. It scares me a little bit for J-Rob. I've been scared though. Like, so I guess you're right. Yeah. Like, am I more scared? Maybe a little bit, but I've been scared, and I am scared because you just don't get to work out that leg as much. Like we saw in training camp, you could see it a little bit early in the season. his leg isn't that. It's like it's a tiny bit smaller, man. You lost a lot of muscle mass. I don't know.
So are you trying to trade him?
If it's just like I heard you guys, I think you guys talked about this last week because I asked in about it. It's hard to trade J-Rob right now. Like you want to say yes, sell high, but all the running backs suck. So what are you going to do? Like you're loaded at RB or you have these guys. You're like, I'm okay. Maybe you have Kamara and I don't know. Maybe like Mixon. Maybe you have those two, and you're like, J-Rob was just a bonus. Maybe I hope these guys turn it around. Then maybe
would you trade him for like a Zeke?
Hell no.
Right? Like
no.
I know that's the thing.
Zeke hasn't looked good to me.
Dude, you know what?
He looks fine. He's just getting zero pass work.
Sure.
True. You know what? I mean, for me, if in the leagues, I don't have J-Rob in many, but like in the leagues that I have him, honestly, what I'm going to be trying to look for is doing like J-Rob plus a piece for like Fournette or like, I know I mentioned Fournette multiple times already, but like, dude, to me, he's like one of the best buy lows. So like, he hasn't produced like that great, but he has one of the best usages of any running back, and that offense is going to get better. So like for me, if I can figure out a way to turn like J-Rob plus something not too significant into Fournette, I'm doing that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you guys stand on that because like obviously when you look at Fournette, it doesn't look good right now. But
I tried to buy Fournette today.
Okay.
Yeah,
that turned out quick.
For sure. I
offered Devontae Adams for Fournette and Bateman, and it was Cody, and he said no pretty fast.
That's Cody's like. Dude.
I thought that's a great offer though.
That's not bad, honestly. It's pretty strong. Some people would do it, I would think.
I would think so too. And he has running backs. Robbie, hit us with some of the Chargers takeaways. We worried about Herbert. Like this shit is weird, dude.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know too much about that injury and who's had it previously and like how they've come back from it. To be 100% honest with you, I remember a quarterback having it.
That's right, Felix. They are. ETN will be ready for the playoffs.
Maybe
that'll be my first win,
just like we planned.
I don't know. I definitely remember somebody having this injury, but it was a while ago.
And a lot of broken ribs, maybe not so much the cartilage. There is somebody that was recent that had it, though.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. He didn't look good. He didn't look the same. Maybe he needs to take a couple weeks off, which if he does, like, it definitely hurts this entire offense. Hurts everybody.
One hit from
serious injury, serious off.
Weeks off. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, maybe I don't know when their bye is. I haven't looked it up, but maybe they'll try to get close enough to a bye where they could sit him out a couple weeks. It didn't look good. That's all I'll say on that. Eckler's still, he's going to be valuable no matter what, just because like we've talked about it a little bit.
That's their bye week.
8.
Week 8.
Yeah, so he's got to try to get through another at least 4 weeks or 3-ish, 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know.
Math. You can do it.
It's going to be, well, I'm trying to say, like, they could probably set him out 2 games before, if they win enough, 2 games before the bye. Give them, like, a solid month.
That's the thing. Like, they're easily a playoff contending team, right? I mean, they look amazing.
They're in a tough division. I don't know. It's this whole thing, for me, I can't take away too much. Like, the whole thing hinges on Herbert being Herbert. Like, what's going to happen if Herbert's out 4 weeks? Like, what happens to the value of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams? I don't know. I think Keenan Allen might be quarterback proof just because he is. So his routes are very close to the line, and he just gets open. Like, he's like an Amari Cooper to me, where he's always open. He's going to find the crease in the defense where he'll be fine. He'll get his work. But the offense is not going to be as impactful. They're not going to be in the red zone as much. So TDs are going to come down for everybody.
Does this
a big blow?
That's the next question is like, are you concerned about Mike Williams? Is Josh Palmer even startable, or do we need to see? He's definitely not startable this week, right?
I think Keenan's back.
Yeah. Right. Assuming that Keenan's back. So like keep on the assumption that Jay Herbs just looks better. I think they play Thursday.
Do they?
But yeah, Mike Williams hasn't been great. Like he had one big game, and that was when Keenan was out, and he didn't look that great this game.
It's hard to take anything away from this game just because like Jay Herbs was coming off this injury. Like who knows what they did to him to get him ready for this game.
He had one reception on 6 targets. Oh,
I've never been too big on Mike Williams. Like he had a great season last year, no doubt. I get that, but I think he's kind of one of those boomer bust plays every week. He can,
and it's not even happening.
Win your week, he can lose your week.
Right.
One of the
it's only 3 weeks into the season, so it's pump the brakes a little bit.
Well, one of the things that I said last year was a lot of his production came from like 3 blown covers. And dude, I know that's not fair to ever do, but it happened. 40 points. He put 40 points on the Browns, and it was bad, and it was ugly. And we saw the Browns, what they just allowed to the Jets. Same defense, pretty much. Same coordinator. Like, I don't know, man. He was somebody that I was scared about all season, and
Me
if
too.
I could, we'll have to. I don't want to go too deep on this. We'll have to talk about some trade targets.
Yeah, that's why this doesn't scare me for Mike Williams, because I was never in on Mike Williams. Like the whole preseason, I've been like, Mike Williams isn't my kind of player. He can be very good. He was good last season. He's very deep ball dependent, and when Herbert's right, yeah, dude, Herbert can get him the ball, and he can bust off those plays once, twice a game, and come away with 6 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like he can do that. Is it something I'm willing to bank on? No. Other than that, like I just don't like that style of receiver.
And he disappeared in that. The one big game he had this year, he disappeared in the second half. Like. Yeah. I think it was a catch in the second half. It was crazy.
Yeah, he definitely, dude. He's such an interesting one because last year in the beginning of the year they used him totally differently. Like if you look, like his ADOT was so much lower. He was catching the ball short,
and that's the way he needs to be used. Right, he would be deep ball threat.
He would be a monster. Like if they used him that way. And he was a monster. I think it was wide receiver 2. After like the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, somewhere in that range, he was insane. And then they just started using him as a deep threat again. And it's like I didn't know, like heading into last year, I actually did draft a lot of them just because he was going pretty late last year. Yeah. And then he's obviously got steamed up. I mean, a lot of people were taking him over Keenan. I never got to that point. I was lower than consensus on him, but I wasn't like out on him. Like I think I had him like 19 or something like that, end of the year, somewhere in that range. And he was like going like 14, 15 range. Yep. So like, but at the same time, like I said, I wasn't completely out, but like, it does make me nervous, cause I was like, okay, I was almost hedging. Like if he is used as a deep threat, he's going to be worse than where I have him ranked. If they use him how they did in the beginning of the year, he's going to be better. Like, yeah. And so I got him a couple spots and then that was kind of it. And then I was like, so like, I do think that it looks like they're going to be using him more as a deep threat. And like you said, if Herbert's not right, I mean, that's going to be really bad. So it's scary.
You know who else this happened to? Michael Gallup. And I can't remember if it was early Mike McCarthy, if it was Mike McCarthy or if it was what's his name before. But Michael Gallup, dude, does the exact same thing. Like I don't understand. And again, we're here talking on Twitter. So what are we to say? I don't understand when coaches put these guys that are like very good hands, very good yards after catch, and they just make them deep threats. Michael Gallup was used the same way. I think it was like 2 years ago, and it drove me nuts. I want to say it was 2 years ago. But I'm getting off topic here. Let's hop over to the next game. It is the Rams versus Cardinals. Rams squeaked this one out. Cardinals have looked messy. Norton, you want to tell me about the Cardinals a little bit and what your thoughts there?
Yeah, so it seems like Kyler, I mean, he's looked rough mostly for the first 3 quarters of like every game, it feels like, and then kind of turns it on and, starts to run more, starts to scramble more because he's starting to have to just do whatever he can to make it happen. At this point, he's in kind of desperation, catch-up mode. I think I saw a stat where he has only been used on like 7 design plays or design runs or something like that this year so far, which is kind of ridiculous. Like I understand like people worry about him getting hurt, but like that's somewhat of a fallacy. Like they've done studies showing that like running quarterbacks actually don't get hurt as much as like people make it out to be. Their rate of getting injured outside the pocket is actually lower than inside, considering like so many big bodies inside the pocket can collapse on the knees. So like I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they're not using a huge strength of his, and like especially like when Hopkins was out, Murray ran more, last year, and so that's what I was kind of expecting heading into the year. I was like, okay, well, in the beginning, he's coming in healthy, and he's going to run a little bit more without Hopkins there. He's going to be awesome, and then he's going to get Hopkins back, and now he's going to have Hopkins and Murray. Yeah. I mean, Hopkins and Hollywood. And I was like, so I was real bullish. And like now it's just like, dude, like this Kingsbury offense is like they were supposed to be like game changing. And now they're like one of the most vanilla offenses, one of the most boring offenses in the league. Yeah. It seems like it's just like they were still on fast pace, but like, come on. Like,
and what you said in the beginning of that is why does their offense turn up in the fourth quarter? And Cody texted me that the other day. He's like, I don't understand why some of these offenses like don't run their fourth quarter offense the whole damn game. And it's true.
Yeah. And I don't know if some of it's like the defense like is just playing prevent stuff. So they're just like going more and then they're running, fast pace. The defense is tired or doing prevent. They're just letting plays happen and things like that. It could be some of that. But still, like it's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, to me, like when we look at it, like I still think Kyler honestly is a buy because I don't think he's going to get worse than what he's been unless he gets hurt. And I think he should hopefully run more. He's still a dual threat kind of guy. And so like, I don't mind getting him cheap because he does have that, top 3, top 5 upside.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with him, but
is Connor a buy for you or is there concerns?
I still think Connor would be more of a buy just because I think he hasn't really he's been banged up a little bit. He hasn't really done that great. So I don't think like it would be as much. And I still think like he's getting pretty good usage and I think the offense is going to get better. And I think he's a big factor in the red zone.
If you're buying Connor, you're banking on the offense getting better. That's it. Because I mean, his value came from like touchdowns last year.
Right. But I also think, I do think also that like, compared to last year, he should get more receptions and targets than
which he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, and like I do think he'll be more involved because like Edmonds still took a lot of that work last year. So with Edmonds gone, like obviously they sprinkled in Benjamin and things, but they like they're not going to use them as much as they used Edmonds in that role. So I do think Connor's still a buy. I think Ertz. I think the pass catchers are more sells than buys, just because
even obviously.
Hollywood to me is kind of a hold. I mean, I think he'll be fine. But I don't see him getting as much target share once Hopkins is back. I don't know where you guys see that, but I feel like I like Hollywood, and I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be more of like a wide receiver 2-3 border type of guy though than what he's been.
It was so weird watching this offense last year. It's not like DeAndre commands targets like Devontae Adams or Diggs or Cooper Kupp. Like there's games where he had like 6, 7.
For sure.
So like and if this defense and offense is as bad as what we're kind of expecting, there's going to be a lot of passing going on. I think Hollywood, you can't buy him probably right now. I didn't realize how high he was up because I honestly thought it was a slow start, but this last week really pushed him up the board. So you can't buy him now. So I'm with you on the hold. I'm also on the hold because you can't sell Connor right now. So you're definitely just holding him. I wouldn't buy personally. I'm not buying.
Okay.
Connor.
No, that's fair. There is some worry. I'm not gonna act like I'm not worried at all, but like we just talked. I mean, my thing is just we talked about how bad the running backs landscape is, kind of. So like,
good point.
I just think there is some. I don't know. I just think there is some upside, and I think he is one of the top like 10 to 15 guys in terms of usage. And if the offense gets better, and if he continues to get pass work, then I guess that's where I'm at. But I do agree with you. It is a little concerning.
A little bit. What about the Rams, Robbie?
Yeah. backfield to me is
a mess.
For sure.
But like, honestly, sorry to interject here. We warned about Cam Akers. We said get Darrell Henderson late. Shouldn't be hurting anybody with Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
But it is a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess, dude. Like I don't want to play either of them, to be honest. Like I think it really could be either week, like who's got the hot hand. Maybe Akers, he'll get the work inside the 20s, in between the 20s, and then maybe D Hendo comes in inside the 20s, and it's just kind of a crapshoot on what's gonna happen. It's just weird, to be honest with you, because Henderson looked very good week 1. Even week 2, he looked pretty good. Akers definitely got more carries this week by a lot. I think it was like 3-1. So I don't want either of them, to be honest. Like I don't want to play either of them. I'm fine with having Henderson because I still think he's kind of the guy to have. I could be wrong moving forward because they seem to be giving Akers a lot more work, but Akers fumbled this week, so who knows? Like that's gonna piss off McVay. Like it's just a mess. It really is.
Dude, one target to both of them this week,
dude. Well, I was gonna say, you know what's the weirdest thing to me about this is I don't know if you guys saw this, but they split snaps 50-50, literally like 50-50 snap percentage split. But Akers had the 12 carries to Henderson's 4, but then when you look at the route percentage, Henderson had a 56% route participation to Akers 15%. Like it's so weird to me. Like
and Henderson's a better blocker. He's a better pass protector.
Right. So it's like it's such a weird split. Like you have them on the field literally each half the time, but then one gets 12 carries to the other 4, and then the other one's running routes. But I mean, he still only got one target, and then like. Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. Like I said, I'm with Rob on this one. Or like, I just don't want either. I don't want to start either right now.
Let me ask you guys the painful question here. Real painful. I'm asking for a friend. Is Allen Robinson droppable in 12-team formats?
I don't think he's droppable, but I wouldn't play him. I don't think you can drop him.
Dude, it's like I don't even know how to say his last name. Skronek.
He's coming out. He's taking but Van Jefferson, I think, is coming back soon, so he's going to be on the field.
So it's going to get messier.
I don't know. Like,
I'm so sad about Allen Robinson, but I think I am finally officially
like they've had Van Jefferson on the field the past 2 seasons a ton, but he's never getting targets.
He's deep threat, yeah.
But that's what the scrotum dude is.
He's gonna whip your ass, bro.
He's the same thing. He's a deep ball threat. He's playing the Van Jefferson role, but he's getting the targets. I don't know. It's a mess between like I want Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. That's about it on this offense.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like so. Looking at like some of the waiver guys, would you rather have Romeo Doubs or A-Rob?
Don't ask me that.
I'd still probably lean A-Rob.
I think I would too.
I'm gonna go Dobbs.
Yeah, I think you're just getting screwed by him right now in 3 weeks, and
in too many leagues.
A little bit emotional. I think it's a little emotional.
It's. I mean, it's dude. Someone asked
Matthew Stafford doesn't look good.
No,
someone asked that same exact question in the Baby Bowl.
22.
Yeah, he's rough too. Yeah, in the Baby Bowl Discord, and I didn't know what to say. Honestly, I was like, man, I don't know. Like, what about? I'm assuming you guys have Dortch and like Zay Jones and like who was the other guy we were talking about? Noah Brown and those guys below Dobbs.
Noah Brown and Dortch, no, because their situation will change soon.
Right.
Michael Gallup coming back, DeAndre Hopkins coming back, but Zay Jones, like, dude, it's you. We
Zay
all
Jones.
Preach volume. We
just said how much you hate him.
I can hate him all I want, but maybe I hate A-Rob more.
I still think there's hope for A-Rob in this offense.
What hope?
McVay.
Yeah,
McVay can't fix a broken elbow.
I think he'll figure it out.
That's why Jared Goff got sent.
I still would go A-Rob over Zay, I think, but yeah. I mean, it's crazy that we're even talking about it 3 weeks in. You think about that, but like now, obviously the guys higher up in this, like Olave, you'd rather have Olave, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jacoby Myers. I know he didn't play last week, but when he's been on, he's
very tight for me on A-Rob and him. I'd probably go. Well, if Mac Jones is out they're talking 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Probably A-Rob.
A-Rob, yeah, because it's Brian Blair time.
Yeah.
Or
true.
what's a Zappy?
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the Zap.
I'll sleep. I'll stay asleep. This offense looks bad already.
True.
It's such a Bill Belichick thing, though, for a hurt quarterback to come in and just light it up.
True. What about these guys are more kind of one of them's more 1 week kind of guy, but Russell Gage or Isaiah McKenzie or A-Rob.
A-Rob, but Isaiah McKenzie may have some season-long value.
McKenzie something.
Yeah, I like McKenzie heading in. He's been frustrating because he's had that big week and we expected a bigger role, and then he disappeared a couple weeks. So but at the same time, he's still a main slot guy on the best offense in the league.
He keeps splitting. I don't know what this week looked like, but the first 2 weeks he split almost 50-50 with Jameson. That is a problem.
True. Yeah, no, but yeah, that's what I always think about when we're looking at guys to drop. I'm like, let's look at these, compare them to the hot waiver guys, and it's tough. Some of them.
You just talked about the Bills with Crowder and McKenzie. There's a big. I want to say that there's something to do with when it's zone, it's Jamison Crowder, and when it's man, it's Isaiah McKenzie, based on the athletic profile of the two players. Because McKenzie's a freak athlete. Crowder is just that wily vet that's going to find the opening in the zone defense, and he knows where to go. I think there's something to that. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to look up what defenses play what more, and you can kind of peg it a little bit.
I was going to say, I wouldn't see how they would predict certain things outside of being on the line.
I mean, every defense has
they probably have an indication.
80% of the time, I think. So if say a team plays 80% zone, it's going to be a Jamison Crowder day. He's just going to play that game. In that, you know what I mean?
And very 50-50 weekly though.
I'd have to look the snap counts up. I thought it was.
I don't know what last week was. I didn't mean to cut you off. We are getting way carried away with going to Buffalo somehow. Yeah. Let's go. And we're gonna start speed through.
Let's speed this. Yes. Let's do this.
We're gonna go to the Falcons in Seattle. So I'm gonna try to just peg some questions down here and then have you guys answer them. That way we go a little bit quicker. So Cordarrelle is the real deal, huh, Norton?
Dude, crazy. Never thought that we'd be saying this year 2022.
It's insane. He's looked good. I want to say RB6 or so, 8. I know I don't have it in front of me.
I love it.
How do I want to phrase this? If you were to offer somebody for Cordarrelle or a package, what would that package or player look like? I know I'm putting you on spot. So think through that. I'm going to go to Robbie here. Kyle Pitts finally had his game, Robbie.
Been calling it, baby.
Loved it. I mean, he had 8 targets. He kind of went cold the second half, though. I think he only had 1 reception in the second half.
So what I'll say, Drake London is a problem for Pitts. That's a legitimate issue that I did not. I knew he was going to be good, Drake London. I thought he was going to be a very good receiver for this offense and demand some of the target share. He looks like a legit wide receiver 1, which will hurt Pitts to an extent just because of Marcus Mariota being there. So they're not going to throw the ball 40 times, 30 times. They're going to throw it more like 22 times. So it's going to take away from his target share just based on how good Drake London is. And I hate Arthur Smith. I hate him. He's not good for Kyle Pitts at all. He's not using him in any creative ways the guy is a freak and you can't figure out.
What are you supposed to do with Marcus Mariota, though?
It is a criminal act to only have him out of in line 60% of the time.
Yeah, but he didn't do that at all last year.
Dude, he was flexed out like 75 to 80% of the time last season as a rookie.
That's what I'm saying.
And you do it 60% as the second year? It makes no sense.
Because their line's bad. So their line is trash.
So have another tight end in there and flex him out. The dude is you
have another tight end. You can only run one wide receiver set.
Dude, the Browns do it with Njoku all the time.
Yeah, and they run Amari Cooper only. Yeah,
you can figure it out.
They probably are better if they ran one wide receiver, two tight end set.
Sure,
you're probably right.
I know I'm right.
Why don't you go coach the team then?
Give me the book.
Going back to you, Norton, did you think of any sort of package or a player?
So, I mean, I was more thinking of like, man, with CPAT moving forward, trying to think of where I'd rank him to see where, like, you know, what kind of running back. I mean, I think I don't know. Is this sound crazy? Like, have him top 12 running back?
We talked about this last week. Sorry, Mario. Let me interject
I think it's
here.
Fair.
We talked about this a little bit last week, Norton, where we were, or I don't know if I talked about it with you or Cody. My days are mixing together. Yeah, but we talked about, I thought it was going to be a very similar season to last year where Cordell's going to have a great beginning and then he'll fade hard in the second. Because we saw that last season.
Right.
Also his target share is pretty concerning. You just mentioned it about Pitts. Like, Cordarrelle's going to have to do a lot of this on the ground. Mariota doesn't check down that much. He'll scramble instead.
Right. And that's always the concern with any running quarterback. I mean, they run rather than check down. And, you know, I think Mariota actually has like 23 carries or something. I think he was like third or fourth among quarterbacks in carries. So he's definitely less check down than others. So it is like I'm fine selling him, but at the same time, like, I also was high on him heading into the year, so I feel like I have a little bit of like confirmation bias. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so but at the same time, like, where you got him was pretty cheap, so you could package him. Like, I would be fine packaging him. Again, I keep going back to trying to just get Fournette. I'm trying because that's what I'm like so focused on in my leagues right now. Like, I have Fournette in a lot, but I'm like, man, I got to get him in like every league. I'm just so confident that he's going to be awesome moving forward that I'd be fine packaging up like CPAT plus a player to get Fournette as well. Even though I like CPAT still.
I'm very much a hold on CPAT because I don't think you sell him for how his production is. Nobody buys it, right? Like, it's just like last year. Nobody's going to buy it, and they're all going to use last year as that bias. Like, oh, I saw him fall off. Yeah. So I'm holding. Guess maybe you could buy, but it's also that nervousness. Like, what is this going to cost me by this point? It's going to be expensive.
I just don't see it maintaining the whole season. I mean, the dude runs vicious. Like, he's looking to take somebody out every play. That's his style. Like, every time I'm watching the guy play, he puts his head down and takes somebody out. And he's up there in age a little bit. He's got wear and tear on him. So the way he runs just makes me a little nervous.
Well, let's flip this over. Obviously, the Falcons won this game. Actually, kind of surprised. I don't think that's obvious. It was kind of a surprise. The else who kind of just puts their head down and runs and doesn't look anywhere else is Rashad Penny. I'm going to start with you, Norton. This is for he looks great. Like, running the ball looks good. NFL purposes looks good. For fantasy, he's just sitting on your bench if you drafted him. And I know this is one guy that you were like, I don't want it. He has no targets.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, he was a guy, like I mentioned to you guys multiple times, you know, heading into the year, he was a guy I was concerned about being a 2-down grinder on a mediocre to bad offense. And like, the offenses looked a little better. Geno's played pretty solid, especially this last game. So like, but they were super slow the first 2 games, like so little plays. And then you combine that with like not a lot of scoring, you combine that with not a lot of pass catching work, and it's just something that I don't want a part of. And so like, for me, I mean, I dropped him a week or 2 ago, honestly, in a shallow league. It was like, it was a 10-teamer, but I dropped him.
You probably still don't feel regret on it either.
Right, exactly.
He's
and
getting
like
6-7 points.
Right, and like, I agree though. He does look fine. Like, when you watch him, like, he's breaking off some explosive plays. He's breaking off some good runs, and like, I think he looks fine. It's just that like the situation is just not great. So I don't feel like too much regret like moving on from him. I have no problem dropping him even in 12 teams, depending on your situation, of course. But he's not someone I feel comfortable.
I would try to trade him before.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
So DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett they've had 2 good weeks in a row. I eat my words on Tyler Lockett. I thought immediately he was droppable, but he is now becoming this like PPR machine. He had 9 receptions on 11 targets. Robbie, what are you doing with these 2 wide receivers?
I don't know, man. Geno looks way better he looks way better than anyone thought he was going to look. Tyler Lockett's playable. I mean, that's where we're at. DK, I'm still scared.
Yeah.
He's had 1 good week. The other 2's been dreadful. And it was an okay week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. But he's been there. They're it, right? Like, and they're throwing the ball a ton. Like,
but he goes to the tight end
crazy. He had 12 this week, and I know week 1 he had 7 receptions, so I don't know how many targets he had. I don't have it in front of me. Like, he's getting targeted. Are they good targets? Are they valuable?
Thing, right?
It's Geno Smith targets.
And how often are they going to find the end zone with this?
Well, he did this week.
And he was still wide receiver 18.
Yeah, see,
good.
I'm kind of like where I'm like, I guess like a lot of times I'm looking at DK between like thinking of like weekly rankings, like wide receiver 24 to 30-ish range, like low end wide receiver 2, higher end wide receiver 3, and then like Tyler Lockett a little bit below that. And like I feel like if you're a DK drafter versus a Tyler Lockett drafter, you're if you're a DK drafter, you're a little bit more concerned because you took them like 4 rounds ahead. But that's how it is every year with these guys. I feel like every single year they draft. Usually it's, I mean, with Russ there, it's been like DK in the 2nd or 3rd and Lockett in like the 5th, 6th, 7th. Like that's what it's been years past. And then this year it was like DK in the 4th, 5th, and then like Lockett in like the 8th, 9th in a lot of drafts. So like your investment on Lockett, you're probably not as concerned because he's putting up better. But if you're a DK drafter, I think you got to be a little bit more concerned considering the investment.
Yeah. Yep. I think I was pretty nervous about DK, but I honestly think he looks better than I predicted and thought. So
same.
Maybe not to the ADP's level, but still hopeful. Let's go to Green Bay Packers and Buccaneers, where Packers snuck this one out on a 2-point conversion that Aaron Rodgers said he saw on the Jumbotron. So he fed that information. Weird way to bring it back to yourself. Robbie, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yep.
The debate between Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, both has kind of gone into a place of neither. But that's all.
Aaron Jones is good. I think Aaron Jones is for sure.
I know you said earlier he's RB6, I think, on the year.
Had a big week.
Again, it was week 2, right? Or week.
What are you doing? I mean, you can't not play him.
You can't not play either of them, probably. In 12 teams, you probably need Dillon.
Maybe.
You had to take him 4th or 5th.
True.
5th or 6th, probably.
Yeah, I think they're gonna figure it out. I do. They've been playing some tough defenses, so I think they'll be fine. No concern for me on the RBs.
So they're
still getting a ton of work. Like I'm fine with it.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they both had, it was 4 targets for Aaron Jones, 30 targets for AJ Dillon. That's enough to keep you happy, and both had 12 carries. So like, this could be that Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, where you'll see off days, but you also see some really good ones where they end up finishing pretty nicely on the year.
Yep.
We'll keep monitoring that though. Obviously, we already talked about Dobbs quite a bit this episode. Lazard and Tanyan are both off to slower starts. Lazard's been dealing with an injury. Norton, I don't know where he stood. Yes, I don't know where he stood on either of these guys. They both had 7 and 6 targets though, so like that's encouraging.
Yeah, I was more out on Lazard because I kind of felt like people were steaming him up because they were just again, it was kind of the presumed. Oh yeah, Mario was okay.
Mario
okay.
was steaming the hell
So
out.
I don't have. I'm not looking at you guys right now, and we're here like, yeah.
But no, yeah.
High on Lazard.
I'm not a like
the obvious choice guy.
Right. And well, and not only that, but like I'm not a guy where you're like, okay, vacated targets, all these vacated targets, it's gotta go to this guy. Like I was more in line of the like targets are earned. I think he's a solid receiver, but like I don't think he's like anything special. I don't think he's just gonna walk in and all of a sudden get like 140, 120, 140 targets all of a sudden. So
in my like, this is just to save my own face here. My thing was never necessarily like, oh, Devontae Adams is leaving. There's vacated targets. Aaron, it was a part of that, but more so Aaron Rodgers' way that he doesn't typically, he's never really had to, doesn't typically look at rookies. And he likes to kind of groom his wide receivers, and Allen Lazard kind of fell into that perfectly. Outside, the only difference about Lazard versus talent, but outside of that was he was an undrafted wide receiver compared to these other guys that had some draft capital on them. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I mean, it's definitely fair. That was, I mean, it was, I was torn because like, obviously there was definitely, exciting aspects about it, like being the possible top receiver. But that was the thing is like, I was never really in because I was just like, this is the guy that like, it never really has done a whole lot. Obviously you have Adams there. But it was kind of like, I don't know. I just never really got into the fact that he was going to all of a sudden become this lead guy after being an undrafted free agent that's never demanded targets at a high level. And I understand the counter argument was the Devontae Adams being there. Obviously, he's not going to do it at a high level. But so, yeah, I mean, I'm still like, I think he's just solid. I think he gets looked at in the red zone a bit though. Like that helps. I think he's got a touchdown both games. It's kind of saved his line a little bit. But yeah, he's not someone for me. Like I feel more, I guess, like I feel more like he's not going to be the guy that people were hoping him to be.
Yeah.
I think he has a chance to be, but like, I mean, when Dobbs looked like the guy in this game. Like, I mean, he looked like the main guy. He looked the part. He drew the most targets. He looked the best out there from what I saw. To be honest, I would rather have Dobbs moving forward than Lazard, but I don't know. Again, I was down on Lazard, so that's kind of my bias coming in there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, man, Dobbs could be something. So I'm not disagreeing with that. Flipping over to Tampa Bay side, we talked about Lenny enough that he had 6 targets this game, 5 receptions. Like he's getting a ton of work. I don't think any of us are buying this Gage game. Am I wrong or right about that? Like, is this a thing of opportunity? They keep loading up wide receivers on this offense, and I think Gage is the odd man out. When you look at Mike Evans, you look at Godwin, you look at Julio, and then even Cole Beasley might even be on the field a little bit more. He kind of fits that short route, quick hit. Yeah. Like, so is Gage, are you guys buying this game from Gage? Like, I'm personally not.
I like Gage. I was decently high on him coming into the season until they picked up Julio. And it seemed like Godwin was going to, I thought Godwin was going to be out like 6 weeks. So coming into the season, I thought Gage was going to be pretty good. He was good last year for the Falcons.
Agreed.
He's a good player. There's no doubt about it. But all in all, it's going to be a Mike Evans and Godwin show once they're back. That's what it's going to be. That's what it always is with Tom Brady. I think Julio will be relevant. But I think it's going to be those two.
Dude, so I was the same way. So heading in, I was actually super high on Gage, like really high. Like so here's exactly. So here's some of the numbers for him so a PFF receiving grade, he had a 76, which was top 20, I think, in the league, top 20, top 24. He had a 1.96 yards per route run, which was like top 30, I believe in. And then he also had a 24% target per route run, which was like a wide receiver 3 or 4 level, basically. Like he had all these.
Yep.
in that offense. And so like I'm like, okay, this guy's underlying metrics are good. Like he's a good receiver. Tom Brady specifically wanted him, and they went out and got him, paid him. I was like, okay, I'm in. I was heavy in. I made multiple bets. One of them, the funny part about it is the guy we just talked about, Lazard. I made a bet in the offseason, Lazard versus Gage, PPR points on the season. So I'm a little bit biased here, but yeah, like dude, like all the underlying metrics for me were like Gage. Everything looked good for Gage, and then they went out and signed Julio. And the thing is like I was still in on Gage because I was like, okay, Julio, like. We've seen him; he's breaking down every year. I love Julio, but like, and all his metrics were lesser than Gage's. Like Gage's I was like, okay, Gage is, still going to be playing the slot, playing. I was like, this guy's still going to be a significant role. I was like, and I was so down on Godwin, so like, I actually don't mind Gage. I have Gage actually on a bunch of teams because of that, so I'm still like holding. And because I do think it's going to be Evans and Godwin when it's healthy. I just don't know if Julio. I don't know if Julio's going to get healthy. I don't know if Godwin's going to get healthy. Like it's just a mess, really. And I think Gage is viable wide receiver 3 level kind of guy, as long as one or more are out.
Yeah, we'll move on after this, but I think they brought Julio in to kind of play the Gronk role.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The previous couple seasons, because he's definitely lost a step. He's a big body receiver that I think can be that kind of pass catching tight end ish, like slash receiver. Like I think that's kind of why they brought him in, but it still doesn't. I think that position in this offense is more valuable than the wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
I think you guys have a good point on saying that Julio is always kind of hurt, but man, how many times is Gage? Like even if Gage is a third wide receiver, I'm gonna need to see some sort of game where he actually puts up decent numbers as the third guy, which means whenever that does happen, Godwin being out, Mike Evans being out, Julio being out, whenever that does happen, I'm not gonna immediately start him, and I'm gonna have to see it. He was the lead guy this game.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention too was Gage has also been banged up too. So like those beginning of the year, like he was dealing with that hamstring issue that was lingering. Yeah. So like to me, like early in the year, he was running banged up behind guys like that were healthy at the time. So
I know that like Tom likes to load his wide receivers. I just thought it was a real, kind of bad look when they're like, yeah, let's sign Julio in here. Now they have Cole Beasley, but again, Cole Beasley was more of like an injury sign.
Right.
I don't know.
I do think that showed me that Gronk's not coming back. I think to me, that's what I read. That
imagine it. I mean, the Rudolph signing was really the dagger.
Has he seen the field?
He did
this week.
Yeah, he had his target this week.
Yeah, I remember
we saw this offense without Evans and Godwin. It's not good. Like
it's not good.
Tom Brady is going to throw the ball to those two when they're on the field. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll keep it trucking here. We're gonna go to the pitiful Denver versus San Francisco game. And boys,
we even need
I'm gonna go ahead and start here on the Denver side of things. First and foremost, this is a game obviously I got to really, really watch, and I was super excited about it.
Lucky you, huh?
Yeah. This offense is broken, and I don't think it's necessarily Russ, although he looked like crap this game. Hackett's got to do something, man. Like this offense, all I heard about in preseason was how great this offense was, how in depth and how much studying they have to do. And you see some of those growing pains. You definitely do. But you also just see a lack of creativity, a lack of using the guys properly. And look, before I go on to my next thing, I am clearly very biased. But what the hell with Javonte Williams, dude? For him to put in Boone on third downs, for him to give Melvin stinking Gordon 12 carries for 26 yards while Javonte's averaging almost 4 yards per carry. It's driving me nuts, man. Like, stop. This was supposed to be the hand. Javonte was your hot hand. Stop running Melvin. And it was a lot in the late game. Mike Boone was popping out there. Like, it wasn't making sense to me. Javonte is a good back. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if this changes. It could be all year. This is what most of the guys on here were saying. It's not Javonte's talent that I'm worried about. It's everybody else and I don't get it, dude. You guys got an answer for it? Because I don't get it.
I don't have an answer for it. I think Melvin's I think Melvin's better. I mean, not that I don't think you're well, yes. Yeah, and I don't think you're I'm not gonna say you're knocking him. It's just more of your love Javonte, which the thing is I agree. Like Javonte has looked better every game. Like it's not like he hasn't. I just think that the coaches love those kind of guys. Like it's the same thing. Jamal Williams. He's like Jamal Williams versus Swift. Like Swift looks better every game. Like but Jamal Williams does the things that coaches love. Like I was hearing people call them like coaches catnip, where they're like they literally like the coaches just they can't resist Jamal Williams. They can't resist Melvin Gordon. Like they just for whatever reason they do all the little things. They don't make mistakes. They play solid. They keep churning forward. They keep getting extra yards. Like they're just veteran players that are still good, solid to good. And so the coaches like him out there, and I think that's what we see with Melvin Gordon. Like he's become that this era's Frank Gore at this point. Like he's that guy that's just frustrating fantasy managers and making coaches happy. Like that's
and normally you're right. Like he normally looks better, but like he had 2 fumbles this game. Did you guys see both of those? Like
I did.
He got saved on both of them, but he had 2 more fumbles. Like the dude can't hold on to the ball, and you'd think that would be like. It didn't change anything. Honestly, I felt like I saw him more after the second one. It doesn't make sense. Neither were lost.
It's weird.
Courtland Sutton has been everything that I've been pretty happy with him. I can't remember his week 2 numbers. His week 1 numbers were great. This week he got 10 targets, 8 receptions. That looked good. So like he looked good. Is there anything to hit on any of the receivers? Or we were Judy came back from a little bit of a shoulder and I think ankle injury. Got 6 targets, only caught 2.
I don't know.
Got in Twitter beef with Shannon Sharp.
All the things you want to see. No, yeah, I mean Sutton. you got to be happy with Sutton. I think with considering how bad this offense has been. Like he's been good. Like he's been solid. He's gotten like good amount of targets each week. I think he's got 7, 11, 10 for targets. He's scored double-digit PPR points every week, and he hasn't had a touchdown yet. So, like, I think he's like. Hopefully, the hope is that Russ and this offense get going as they get more comfortable in the system and stuff, and that then you start seeing more scoring, and then Sutton should hopefully boost up even more. But I feel like you got to be happy with Sutton's production given the environment. Judy obviously a little more concerning, but I think a lot of it. I think you can contribute it to injury so far a little bit. I mean, that's my thought on it.
I'm just gonna say this, and it may be a hot take. Judy definitely, like when he's playing and he's running his routes, he looks more talented to me. Like the talent looks like it's there. It really, truly does. I mean, I think he had a couple drops in this game, 1 or 2. The talent looks like it's there, at least when he's route running. Like his routes are clean, dude. And drops.
Russ likes a big body receiver though that can go up.
I know, Rob.
Saying, dude.
I know. It's what you've been saying all offseason. All right, Rob. Sorry. Let's go to San. I digress. Let's go to San Fran side. Jeff Wilson has looked every bit the part, man. Like you talk about a guy that just looks good. He's in a good system. If he stays healthy, I'm going to ask this. We got Elijah Mitchell out for another month and a half at least. So I guess that's where things get a little bit murky. But in the time that Elijah Mitchell's out, if Jeff Wilson stays healthy, is he a top 12 back?
Ooh, say top 15.
All the hard ones. Sure.
Top 15. Yeah, I don't want to say 12, but again, given like what's going on with all the running backs, like, how do you not say yes?
Right.
It's tough, dude. Yeah.
And when he plays and when he gets touches, he usually is efficient. This isn't like something new that we're seeing. Like when he's healthy and he gets touches, it's pretty good.
This offense, it's just the run game. Like the run game in this offense with this offensive line, with how Shanahan calls the plays, something about it. Like he can plug anybody back there and they look good if they get the touches.
That's not true. Deebo Samuel went 5 for 6 this game. Do we have concerns about him?
No.
5 for 6 rushing.
Carries.
He went 5 receptions for 73 yards.
Yeah, I don't have too much. I was a little lower heading in, but like at the same time, a lot of it had to do with like Lance being a selfish play in the sense of him running. So now that Jimmy G's there, I think we talked about it before. Like it's kind of back to what we're seeing last year, and so I'm not too worried about Deebo at this point.
Yep.
And I think the last thing about Deebo is that what was I about to say? I feel like the ADP was still too rich. George Kittle, are the elite days over, or are we just waiting to see it? Like this was his first game back, correct?
Yeah, I think it was more of a ease back in situation.
Okay,
and especially with tight end being,
he got 5 targets.
True, and especially with tight end being so brutal after the top guys, really. I mean, I don't mind. I don't know if I don't know what to think, to be honest, if he's going to be elite or not, but all we've seen him is be elite when he's healthy. So like, I don't have a reason not to think that, other than like I said, like I just think he wasn't healthy fully yet. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at with him, I guess. Still top 5 for me, probably.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's get to our last game, the Monday night game, where we had the Cowboys face off the Giants. Giants look okay here, man, but the Cowboys ended up winning this 23-16. Let's talk about the Cowboys backs first. I mean, Cooper Rush looked great for fantasy. I don't even think we need to talk about him, not as of now. If it's 2 QB leagues and you had Dak, I think he's a great fill-in. If he's still out there. If I picked him up when I lost Dak in a 2 QB league. The backs, though, Tony Pollard finally getting some explosion and showing it and getting some work. 13 for 105. Both backs only had 1 target each. Zeke ended up going 15 for 73, so almost even split here, but had the touchdown. Is there any like, is that now too late to buy Tony Pollard? Because I think there was like a buy low window, and it would have been like a small discount, right? Kind of like how everybody is a small discount as we're through week 3 now. But did that discount just erase itself by him going 13 for 105?
I think it erased itself week 2.
They have big week 2?
Yes. He was RB3.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yes.
Tough for me, man.
It was weird. The one weird thing I thought about the backfield here was like not the split in terms of snaps, because it was like 2/3. Well, Zeke got 2/3 and then Pollard got 43%. So there was a few times at least they were on the field together. But the Zeke having 68% route participation, which was like 3rd best among all running backs this week, and Pollard 29%, which I would have thought. You would think it's kind of the other way around generally when you just think about what they're on the field. But I mean, I know the coaches like Zeke out there for pass work and, pass protection and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this was a typical kind of like game we've come to expect between these guys over the years, is that Zeke kind of gets the more valuable touches. He gets the goal line, he gets the touchdown. Pollard looks more explosive in space, and leaves us wanting him to get more touches, and like
close.
That's where we're at.
To the Javonte, this could be the next Javonte Melvin thing. I mean,
yeah,
Zeke has, I think, another year on his contract after this, but I think there's some sort of opt out maybe. But yeah, I mean, very similar to that situation with the receivers. We talked about this, I think, only on the pre-show. I don't know if we ended up talking about it on the show. CeeDee Lamb looked great. Finally looked kind of his elite. It took a while. It took till about the second half till he started making some plays. Looked a little off that first half. But Noah Brown is somebody that you mentioned to us pre-show, Norton. What is he somebody that like is even worth adding? Or are we expecting Gallup back? Because I think it's soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's looked good so far. He's played well every game, I feel like. I mean, I think you could do worse. I mean, but like, I also do have the concern of like, it is still a Cooper Rush led offense right now. I mean, Dak sounds like he's going to be back sooner than later. So that's encouraging for the offense as a whole. But yeah, I mean, I think also, it's like you said, it's more monitoring Gallup, but also, even if Gallup comes back, Schultz, I think is probably going to be back this week. We'll see. But like the combination of both of them being out too, like, is kind of fueled Brown. I think in deeper leagues, Brown's still a solid like guy to grab and see what happens. Kind of like that Dortch range we were talking about. So, it's the same kind of thing where you're expecting a fall off, but they've been good.
Maybe this week's production sort of thing. If those guys remain out, which I don't know. Gallup was ruled out pretty early. Schultz was a game time decision, but I don't necessarily think that clears Schultz for next week.
Agree. Yeah.
Let's flip over to the other side. And there's a little bit that I want to talk about on this side, the Giants. I actually thought Daniel Jones, he got pressured a shit ton, looked great. Yeah. I truly believe that, like, for what he was working with, looked good. Like, statistically, it wasn't amazing, good, but he did what he could. Barkley, I want to just ask you both this. Is he in both of your guys' top 3 remaining year, rest of season? Is that too bold?
Yeah.
Top 3?
I had him top 5 heading in, running back.
Yeah, you had some Barkley love.
Yeah, so like
I felt good about having him like 9. I felt really
that dude. All you really had to do though was have him above consensus. You probably got at least some. So like, but I mean, he's top 3 for me. I mean, I still would go CMC, JT, Saquon, I think. But I mean, I think there's an argument to be made. You could make the argument to take him 1. Like, I think it's fair. I would still kind of prefer the other ones a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a beast. He is on the field most of the game, if not all of it. And for me, the shitty part was seeing it, he's so good. And it just, you want to see him get more touches. Just because that's the only way this offense moves down the field is when he's getting the ball. And for whatever reason, the second half, they really just let Daniel Jones throw the ball the entire second half. And I didn't really I got it the fourth quarter when they were down. I understood it. Mm-hmm. But the third quarter I know he got that long touchdown, but you would assume they'd just keep feeding him because he was making plays. He was getting in space. The offensive line isn't great, but they were doing a decent job opening lanes up for him. I don't know.
Honestly, this offensive line hasn't been bad. This game,
pass block,
great.
Well, I'll give the Cowboys credit. Like, their pass rush is pretty legit.
It's Parsons coming on one. Is it Lawrence on the other? Like, it's tough. That's tough to hold off. Let's talk about something. I know we're really low on time, but I really wanted to address this.
Top 5 and Amy, top 5.
Oh, he's not a big Barkley fan?
No, he is. He's saying he's not. He's number 1. I got you, Andy.
I got the reference.
I missed it. I'm off. Then Richie James. Well, okay. So Sterling Shepard now out for a season, torn ACL, had 10 targets this game. So, like, I think what a lot of people are going to be doing, there's a couple moves. Well, actually, I think there's one. And everyone's going to assume that Richie James is the next man up. He's actually looked serviceable, but I kind of want to put this caveat on it. I compared him, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. Richie James, to me, is Kadero Hodge, who makes the plays, right? He makes the grabs. It's nothing more than that, though, right? Like, it's like I could catch the ball. I could get down, and this could happen 10 times a game, which is possible that happens with Richie. Like, he could be 10 receptions, 80 yards, maybe a TD here and there. I think we will see that maybe for the next week, 2 weeks, maybe not 10 receptions. That's like a overkill.
It's aggressive.
That he is the guy, but I am signaling it now. And I never did this preseason. I am signaling Tony's not healthy. He never is going to be healthy. It just doesn't seem like it's happening. Doesn't seem like it's in the cards for him. Like, as much as I want him to be out there and be good, I am signaling if Wandell is out there on waivers, to stash him. I truly believe it.
You went full plot twist on me. I thought we were definitely heading to the Kadarius Toney season.
No, I can't do it, dude. I'm out. Like, it's just too much, man. It's too much pain for everyone. He's just always hurt.
I know. I mean, well,
he's the better wide receiver. I agree. He's a stud.
Timmy Tony.
I'm more on Tony
but
too.
What's he gonna do? What you guys are gonna get him and he's just gonna stay on your bench. This is exactly what happened last season.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It is,
and most likely he might not be in waivers, or he could.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
He was dropping a lot. I know he was dropping a good amount. Dude, I'm torn up because I feel like they gotta. I mean, honestly, they really should just give both of them a lot of run when they get.
I agree.
Like, it's just like I don't understand what they're doing. Like, you're not playing Galladay clearly. Like, what are you doing with Richie James? Like you mentioned, like he's a veteran, serviceable receiver. Like, dude, you have these two guys that you drafted high that you are supposed to be like big playmakers for you. Like, we've seen Tony be electric, and obviously Wan'Dale's dealing with injuries too. Like, and I mean, Wan'Dale's a smaller guy too, right? I mean,
he's small, but
yeah,
so small,
right? So like, but like that's the thing is like, you know, you got these two guys that like are supposed to be explosive playmakers with the ball in their hands and stuff, and like we've seen Tony do it. I think that's where it differs for me right now is that we've seen Tony be insanely electric with the ball in his hands at the NFL level, and Wan'Dale is more of a what if. But I don't even think.
What if?
I mean, Tony is a what if too as well. I know. I definitely agree.
What if he can get on the field?
Right.
Tony is like the poor man's Josh Gordon, right? Like what could be? Like this is so good, but we're never going to see it.
I know. I feel like I'm going to be chasing it forever, but like
chasing the dragon, baby.
It could be
you got to. Yeah, but no, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Like, they at this point, like, how do you not get these guys on the field? Like, what is going on? Like, I don't know what. I mean, like, they keep making excuses. I don't know if there is like a head case issue with Tony, especially, or either of them, or what.
To find out what that's been about, because that's been kind of like this little secret rumor, what people are saying. I don't know. I never saw necessarily a head case for Tony outside of him being kind of in the doghouse, like not getting snaps. But
you know what it kind of reminds me of too is like Ayuk second season, where like last year, you know, Ayuk got in the doghouse and then he kind of got out of it.
Posted a picture about that. Ian Hartitz put, what was it, Rob? Do you remember? It was Tony
it was just him in a
doghouse. And then I took the picture and commented on his, and I put Ayuk's Airbnb.
That is great, dude. That is great because it reminds me a lot of it, because obviously Ayuk was explosive. I mean, here's the thing for me. Like,
Tony's so explosive.
Yeah. Like when that game against Dallas, I believe it was last year, the moves that he put on these dudes, I feel like, dude, when I saw it, I was instantly just like, give me Tony everywhere. I don't even care. Like, I've never seen a guy move and shake guys like that.
It was
like, that was like Barry Sanders type stuff.
Barry Sanders-esque.
Dude,
that,
and like,
it was insane.
There was a something just came out. I can't remember who was saying it. Was Mike McDaniels teaches his players to watch Allen Iverson.
Iverson, yeah. I saw that.
To see the moves and like work, like this is what we need to do off the line, like all of this.
Yeah, with the footwork, and
his footwork is like that. Tony's is like, I'm doing a crossover on you. It's amazing.
Ankle breaking stuff, dude.
Dude, I don't like. It does seem like something is weird there. Like these injuries are kind of like he's nursing up. I don't know. It just seems like they're always popping up: hamstring, toe, foot, ankle, everything is hurting down there, and it drives me nuts.
I do. I mean, I agree. I don't dislike your call of getting Wan'Dale. I think Wan'Dale has upside as well. I just think Tony has more upside.
So like, here's also the assumption is like Tony is out. I'm scared to talk about this last person because I just saw I got people from my league watching, man. But like, I think you gotta put a bid in on Daniel Bellinger too. What I mean,
that was my dude coming in.
He came out with 5 targets. Shepard was out. I don't think he earned all 5 of those after Shepard went out, but like, you have to think he's going to start seeing a little bit more route running with this wide receiver core that is banged up. Like, I don't know, man. I think he's a sneaky tight end pickup right now.
Don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. I was more out on Bellinger. It was just I felt like he was getting some steam. It's just the rookie tight end thing for me.
There. Yeah.
It's hard for me. Like I don't know. I do agree though that like if like a rookie's gonna do well as a tight end, like this is kind of the situation they need, is that like all these guys go down and all these guys are shitty and just like they just are like the best of what's left. So I don't hate it, especially like I just get done talking about Tony with upside and we got a tight end who could walk into a big role when in a landscape where there's like no upside tight ends. I mean, I'm talking about upside over here, and I'm not like giving full credit to the possible upside of Bellinger, but it's just hard for me to get behind it. At the same time, like I said, I think it's a solid upside play.
You know what team did have a rookie tight end do amazing?
Falcons.
The Giants.
The Giants. Evan Ingram, baby.
The Falcons. Evan Ingram. I was with Eli at that point, but I mean, hey, it's way different organization now, but it could happen. I think he's sneaky because of how bad tight ends are. And like, if you're looking for upside and you have a roster spot, let's see what this first week looks like without Shepard. Let's see what Richie James comes into. Wandell and Tony might not be out there yet, where Bellinger could have a nice game if neither of them are out there.
Yeah, just give me Tony 10 targets. I'm telling you, I need I need it. Inject
You're gonna be chasing Tony forever. Inject it, please.
I'm gonna be itching, dude. I'm gonna be on the side of the road, just itching for it. That's scratching for Tony. For sure, man. I love it.
Hey, before we head out, Mario, before you play that music, are you boys in on Pierce yet or what?
No. I regret trading him. I regret trading him bad right now for what I did.
Yeah, he looked good.
He's good,
dude. He looks. I'm gonna say he does look very like, dude. Some of the spin moves and like tackle breaking and shit. It looks good. I'm still the
targets. I get it.
That route rate.
I get it.
Keep going.
It's concerning. The
target, yeah, dude.
Pierce for RB1.
They have been making him more involved. If you guys aren't already following us on Twitter at DadBodFS, our stuff will be posted on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. DadBod Fantasy Squad will post all the recordings to Spotify, Apple Podcast. What else, Robbie?
All those major streaming platforms.
Find Rob Norton at Norton0723. For Norton, for Robbie, for myself. Peace.